There's been a huge media buildup for tonight's Anderson Cooper interview with former porn star Stormy Daniels on 60 Minutes. Cooper also did a CNN interview the other night with Karen McDougal, the former Playboy model, who also alleges a decade-old affair with Donald Trump, and who spoke out despite signing a $150,000 contract that included giving the rights to her story to AMI, the National Enquirer's parent company.
And what was the thought of selling the story in your mind?
To get my truth out there. I wasn't looking for money, clearly, but when he said it's worth many millions, I'm like, you know.
That was something that was hard to pass up.
Sure, of course.
So, in essence, you were happy to have the story killed.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I never wanted to come forward.
The thought, though, of telling your story to AMI, some people hearing that are going to think, A, you wanted money, and B, you wanted to damage the president.
I voted for the president. I voted for Donald. Why would I want to damage him?
Joining us now here in Washington, Emily Jashinsky, commentary writer for The Washington Examiner. And in Los Angeles, Leslie Marshall, radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Emily, I have no reason to think Karen McDougal isn't telling the truth about this relationship, but she was constantly contradicting herself on motivation. We saw it there. She felt guilty. She doesn't want to hurt him. She said Donald Trump was sweet, respectful, kind, caring. She loved him. And Anderson Cooper didn't really press her except one or two spots about why is then she revealing what was their secret.
And that's been my big question throughout this whole thing. I'm on the same page with you. I don't really have a good reason to believe that she's lying, but he really should have pressed her more on the money there. Other than that, I thought the interview was fairly well handled. But of course, the big question in all of this is whether anybody actually cares. And I think what happens after the 60-minute interview is going to be instructive into that.
We'll come back to that, but let me get Leslie in on the CNN interview. So McDougal says that American Media Inc. Signed this $150,000 deal to bury the story and protect Trump, which is sort of the consensus view since the Enquirer is owned by David Pecker, close friend of the president. But then she also said, and I've reported this before based on sources, that she wanted the story buried because she got cold feet at the end of the campaign, didn't want to come out, backed out of a possible interview with the ABC. So I was waiting for Anderson to say, so what's your beef if you voluntarily signed this deal?
I have to say I agree pretty much with everything Emily said. I thought that the interview was well handled. I thought that Anderson Cooper should have pressed her more regarding the money and the motivation, because I think we heard mixed signals, which is I loved him, I voted for him, guy on the tape, Access Hollywood tape, not the man I knew, felt guilty, as you should. You knew he was a married man, shame on you. But at the same time, you got to get more about the money, because I think we all know the money at the end of the day is the motivation if you're quiet for so long and then you come out and there's a check being written in your name.
That is exactly the view of the people at American Media Inc. who say she's trying to get out of a contract that she voluntarily signed so she could go out and make a lot more money. And by the way, you know, the contract calls for her to do other things, but she's not totally fulfilling it. She's supposed to have 2 cover stories, which I know about emails where they've asked her to do the photo shoot, and she wouldn't commit to doing the photo shoot for the second one. So this is not about, unlike with Stormy Daniels, who has the $130,000 payment that looks like hush money from President's lawyer Michael Cohen. This is really about her and this tabloid firm. So Emily, as you say, when 60 Minutes airs this tonight, and 60 Minutes didn't even put out a sort of a preview clip, knowing with a great interest here. We know what she's going to say about the relationship because she gave a 2011 interview to In Touch magazine, which was only recently published, about her, what she says was this intimate relationship. So the only real news will be about the hush money and what her lawyer said in a tease was a physical threat.
Well, that is obviously huge because the story is in 2 different parts. You have the allegations about the affair and the allegations about the cover-up. And I think the public's interest varies on both of those topics. The affair is probably a lot less interesting to the public than campaign finance violations, given who this president is.
Possible violations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, possible violations. And all of this, after Karen McDougal's interview, the big question was actually kind of raised by Karen McDougal when she said, I don't know how this could have happened at this Lake Tahoe golf event because I was with him the whole time. And so you have Stormy Daniels saying part of their affair occurred there, and you have another person saying part of their affair occurred there. So there's a very fair reason that the media is asking these questions, and I hope we get some answers tonight.
Leslie, let's talk about Stormy's lawyer, Michael Avenatti. He's been on TV during this period more than 20 times doing interviews. I think he's done kind of a masterful job of driving the story because one day he tweets a picture of himself, there he is, himself and Stormy Daniels and Anderson Cooper before or after the interview. Then he tweets another day, he puts out a picture of Stormy Daniels. He says it passed a lie detector detector test on this, or she may have photos. So he has really kept this in the news day after day. Your thoughts?
I think that he's earning his money, and if I were in her position, she's got a good lawyer. I mean, look, I thought it was titillating, if you will, when he shows the computer and the disc, posted on Twitter, and he's like, "I have evidence," or
Wait,
"I can
of
prove
all the
it."
pictures that
And
have
I'm
been put
like,
out about Stormy Daniels, you find the disc to be the most titillating. Okay.
I'll say
like
I
there was
actually found that
like there was a hidden camera or something, and and that could be a complete bluff. Who knows? But I agree with you, Howard. He's doing a great job keeping the story front and center in the news, on social media, and also portraying his client as the one who's not lying, because obviously this does come down to he said, she said,
right.
Even if under oath, because we know that people lie under oath, and we even know presidents can lie under oath.
Okay, little short on time, but let me get this in the larger question. I think you alluded to this earlier, Emily. Are the media using these cases, and there's another suit by a former apprentice contestant that's been allowed to go forward by a judge charging Donald Trump with defamation, to sort of pile on Trump about what he did? And of course there's a real aspect now, but what he did in his days as a celebrity businessman and beauty pageant owner, in contrast to Bill Clinton, who had sex with a White House intern while he was in office. The media rather gleeful in covering these stories.
That's actually the exact word I was going to use, and it doesn't take away any of the validity of the stories, but I think sometimes there's a lack of perspective that is exhibited by the media in covering the stories, which is unfortunate because there's some serious stuff, potential campaign finance violations to get to the heart of, and it can take away from that.
And Leslie, there's been a real contrast. CNN and MSNBC have covered the Stormy Daniels very extensively. In fact, Stephen Colbert joked about Anderson should change the name of his show to Anderson Cooper 36DD. And Fox has covered it far less. Who do you think's closer to the mark in half a minute of fair coverage on this?
Well, quite frankly, even though I work here and I'm on the payroll, I would have to say Fox because, as Emily pointed to, there are other issues that are just as serious. But of course, the other networks are going to go for, what their audience wants, and they certainly want ratings. And quite frankly, Monica Lewinsky did very well for the networks many years ago during the Clinton presidency, so I'm not surprised.
Salacious topic to be sure. Good discussion, guys. Emily Jashinsky, Leslie Marshall coming up. Mark